Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, all you aspiring writers out there. It's time for you to learn everything need to know to write, publish, and promote a great book. I'm Elizabeth Ann Atkins, co founder of Two Sisters Writing and Publishing. And with me today is Joanie Lindenmeyer, one of our superstar authors. And we have a very important topic for you. But first, Joanie, how are you doing today?
I am doing fabulous. It's sunny, it's beautiful, it's springtime, and just
Mhm.
feeling good. And you,
I'm great. I'm great. I'm editing an amazing book that we're publishing soon. And I'm so excited because here at Two Sisters Writing and Publishing, we specialize in bringing diverse voices to the world to celebrate all that we are and so that others can embrace and celebrate and understand us. And so it's really an honor. So I'm doing my thing today. And talking with you is always a delight because we always are so on the same page, like our topic for today, which was so fun. I texted you, you texted me, and we said the same thing.
at the same time, at the same
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
it was
yeah,
unbelievable. It was like, oh my
yeah.
God, I can't believe this. Wow.
So, Joni, the topic today is something that you have dealt with, but in coaching people to write their books, which I do often as a book coach, a recurring theme has come up, and it is how to write about very painful life experiences because you have to relive it in order to write it well, and how to release the grief after the writing is done and how to not allow the fear of the pain to stop you from doing the writing, because that's a hindrance as well. So, I want to talk about how to write about painful things and how to release the grief. So, Joni, let's start with you writing None Better. First, you were writing your life story. There were difficult topics, but very importantly, Carol, your partner of 40 years, had just passed a year before you started writing, right?
Yeah, literally, yeah, 5 months.
5 months?
She died January 30th. I began writing June. So 5 or 6 months later, I'm starting to write. So I'm
Oh,
still in the 5 months of grief. Yeah, yeah. Unbelievable as I look back on that. Just incredible. And what a
yeah.
godsend it was to write and to let that out. And I think that's our topic today. So continue on.
Yes. So I want to hear about how difficult was it to write about all the joyous moments that the two of you shared in your book, None Better, an amazing love story, a bestseller, reliving all the fun after she was gone, and then also reliving her 8 year decline after her stroke.
Right. Um, it's real difficult. Oh, probably get emotional here. It's difficult to go back and relive that moment of how I wrote it and what I wrote and all that. Here's what I remember in my brain here is I remember meeting you and Catherine, developing our outline, and that outline came about because I'm looking at hundreds of pictures of our life, the good times, the bad times. I'm looking at all these hundreds of pictures. The tears are just flowing because I miss her so much. It's like I've never experienced this depth of loss or grief. And so I'm looking at all these pictures. And then all of a sudden, with our outline, I am just like flooding the words onto my computer in my office. And the hours, it's like, it's unbelievable, Elizabeth. I am not a night owl. I would stay up till 2, 3, 4 in the morning just writing and telling about the stories and just releasing all that. And it wasn't any fancy spell. I know I misspelled everything. Sentences didn't make sense, but I was getting the story out there because my heart was just exploding. And the more I wrote, the happier I felt. It was like a release. It was like Jesus was taking care of me. Carol was taking care of me. And I remember saying, Jesus, what else should I write? Carol, what else should I write? And literally my fingers, I don't know how they did it. They just started typing. And it was like, I thought I was thinking it. And then I thought, no, I'm not thinking anything. It's just coming through my fingers. And
Mhm.
so the tears and hearing me laugh in the back room, it was like I had to shock myself, like, who's laughing? It was me laughing at these stories. So It was very difficult, but very freeing. And it was like I was welcoming a surprise at the next paragraph. I was just welcoming a surprise. And I knew that I was healing in the process. I knew it was turning into action. And I knew somehow that it was supposed to be, that somehow our story would inspire others. I didn't know how, but I just knew that it would.
Mm-hmm. I love
Amazing.
that. That's awesome, Joni. That's phenomenal. So
Thank
you
you.
were able to relive it and it was joyous for you. And then did you ever have a moment where you felt depressed and needed to like go out in your rose garden or walk by the ocean?
Oh yeah, there was so many hard times. It's like I just had to stop and write, stop being at my computer, stop writing, get outside, go for a walk, feed the birds, water the garden, mow the lawn, vacuum. That was the action. I had to do something because I couldn't stay in that depth of agony and pain forever because I wasn't at the joyful part yet. I was still in
Right.
that agony. And I don't know if you've ever sobbed your eyes out or gone to bed, and maybe you have. Have you gone to bed where you just cry your eyeballs out?
Yeah,
Yeah,
everyone
that's what
has.
it was going. That was what was going on, and it wasn't just at nighttime in my bed pillow being soaked with tears. It was during the day, and things would hit you out of nowhere. You'd be grocery shopping, and boom, that grief would hit, and it's like, where am I? What am I? And just, whoa, the tears would just flow. So that was all
Wow.
part of the writing part.
Excellent. I love it. I love it. So, Joni, you just explained what I was going to say regarding the two clients that I have for book coaching who've expressed the challenge of reliving the pain. And I said, what you need is to first understand that in order to write it well, you have to write it with your six senses. What you see, hear, touch, taste, smell, and feel intuitively in the scene, which means being there in your mind and heart. Can't go around that. Somehow, when my mother wrote about her childhood abuse at the hands of her adoptive mother, she was able to detach and just write it because I said, was it difficult for you to relive those moments as you wrote about them, which are very graphic? And she said, no, she's healed it, she's released it. And she's unusual, though, because when she wrote The Triumph of Rosemary, a memoir by Judge Marilyn E. Atkins, she just didn't have an issue with it. However, the people I'm coaching right now have expressed this. And so, what I say to them is first, you have to be real, you have to feel the feelings to write it accurately and to engage the reader's emotions. Secondly, um, you need a mechanism in order to diffuse the grief and pain after you're done writing. So have it scheduled or strategized before you do the writing. So, Joni, you said you mow the lawn, you feed the birds, you go to walk on the beach because you live by the ocean, you take a walk, you go out in nature, you do things that make you feel better. And the high vibe frequency of nature, of course, is always so rejuvenating. And so I told the two book coaching clients that they need to do whatever works for them, whether it's go to the gym, go to the ocean, go pray, journal. We all have our own. So for all of you aspiring writers out there, when you write the painful scenes, you need to have time after to do the thing that refreshes you, clears your mind, clears your heart, helps you get back into a happier space. Joni, do you have any tips you can offer people in addition to that?
I think the biggest tip for me was to be kind to myself, to be patient with myself, and to know that, it doesn't have to be done right now. If you need to take a break and you want to take a break and you don't write about it anymore, don't write about it,
Yeah.
and just follow your heart on that. And that's that healing process. It's a healing, and that's my prop for the day, Elizabeth. And so I think I've shared this with you before, but this is chrism oil from the Episcopal Church, and that was a big healing part for me. And I'm just going to open this up. It smells absolutely gorgeous. It is just a oil that is just beautiful, beautiful. And I'm just going to do it right now to everybody out there, including you, Elizabeth. Here's a blessing of healing to write about what's on your heart so that it will inspire other people. And holy God, who your God is, whatever name you put on that, blessings and peace and joy. There you go. There you go.
Oh,
And
I
I mean that
love
from my
that.
heart. And that's from Jesus and Carol today.
Oh, that's beautiful,
Ah,
Joanie.
smells so
Thank you
good.
for that blessing. And for all of you writers out there, it's no matter what your beliefs are, you can take the blessing and the energy of Joanie's love over the computer and feel that. When we were at Pride last year, Joanie was blessing people. It was so cool. Like I looked over, we're signing books, and I looked over, and Joanie's like got these people. She's blessing them. In fact, we were at a party. Remember the party the night before, and you were
In
blessing
Detroit.
my friends.
Yes. Yes.
That was
Well,
so
and,
cool.
and I guess the big thing on that, Elizabeth, I think we all have pains. We all have hurts. And what do you do with those? I mean, they've been around for you, and it could be a relationship pain. It could be who knows what the pain, a physical pain, a spiritual pain, whatever the pain is, but we all have them. And we all
Mhm.
want help. We all want to be comforted. We all want to be loved for who we are. And I guess that ties in with all the writings I see going on about people's pains and hurts. And if you're in the LGBTQ world, the Advocate and the Out, two journalist things, you can look them up and Google them, but they are writing about some real pain right now, and then of course, you have the Psalms and the Bible, and people right now are Facebooking or texting somebody or writing an apology letter. Those are all writings people are releasing, and maybe someday those will turn into a book. Would love that for that to happen, because it's inspirational for all of us when somebody writes something about their pain. And I know you've been through a ton of stuff, and the books that you have written are just phenomenal. I mean, you've got me in tears and on the edge of my seat every time I read one of your books. And that's what I'm hearing with
Oh,
my books too. But yours is like, man, you know how to hit it. Oh, with the words. Oh,
oh,
my
thank you,
gollies.
Joanie. Thank you. So my memoir, God's Answer is No, KNOW, Lessons from a Spiritual Life. Um, I wrote it from a healed place. And so when I wrote about my horrible divorce, when I wrote about being molested when I was 5, when I wrote about my challenges with food and fat and depressive, suicidal ideation as a result, I wrote it from a healed place. And therefore, I'm showing the reader that that's possible. I did have to go back, and it was enraging for me to see what I'd been through, because it's just difficult. And especially because I wrote it from excerpts from my journals. So that it was written in real time and I could see and feel my own pain. But the mission was bigger than me. The mission was to show, yes, this can happen to you. And yes, you can heal, survive, be stronger for it, and serve as an example to others that they can do the same. And so if you're watching or listening, you can see behind Joanie is the banner for Joyously Free, a book that she and I wrote together for Pride of 2024. We're coming up on the anniversary, 1 year, book anniversary, as my sister calls it, the book anniversary. And Joyously Free, stories and tips to live your truth as LGBTQ plus people, parents, and allies. And many people shared their stories of coming out, of being shamed, of being guilted, of being criticized, of being disowned, of being, dealing with family members, and understanding how to navigate the broad range of emotions that happens when someone child says they're trans. What do you do? It's a lot. And so there's grief there. If you had a little girl and now they're a boy, um, there's grief. It's part of the process of letting go. And so our very brave 32 contributors in the book shared how they went through painful things, but by sharing their stories, it's a matter of triumph. And we did talk with some of them about, how difficult it was to write that. And we offered guidance and comfort. So our message to you, all you writers out there, is to write it. Just do it, because it's bigger than you. It's a mission. We have a whole podcast about how your book is a mission, not just a story. Remember that, Joanie?
I do. Totally. Totally. The other thing I like about the books, let me just grab this one here, for the Healing Religious Hurts book and Joyously Free. I love the part about all of our tips. And so we actually give tips to help people heal. to actually, what can you do? Because that's what it comes down to is you have to have the action steps to actually do it. So I'm looking at page here and page 190, and it just says, identify examples of religious hypocrisy, journal about how that makes you feel, release your anger about it. Should you speak up when you witness religious hypocrisy? Should you write about it? Should you do an editorial? Should you put it on Facebook? Should you text a friend? These are all parts of writing, and be strong. All these tips are just phenomenal. And so they're not just from myself and Elizabeth, they're from the writers, people that are right in the middle of this, and you mentioned that many of your authors right now are in that stage of writing it through their pain. And I'm thinking of the last couple emails I've received about people just thanking for the inspiration, that they feel stronger, that they can go out now and do what they need to do to heal. Yeah,
I
there's,
love it. I
yeah,
know it's very
yeah. But our
difficult.
tips, the main point is tips, and we all have
Yeah.
tips to share.
Uh-huh. Yes, yes, yes. I love it. So that's why we have these tips that can actually, in healing religious hurts, can really help writers, because we have to also know what helps us heal. And so if it's walking in the garden, going to the beach, going to the gym, I know for me, that's my reset button. That's what I
Mhm,
said to
mhm.
someone yesterday. What is your reset button when
Yeah.
you get immersed in the grief? What can you do to feel better? You can call a friend who makes you laugh. A change of scenery, like you said, you get up from your computer, you go outside, you go do things that can help. Taking a shower or a bath can literally be cleansing of energy because water is so healing. um, Journaling about your feelings. I know for me, I liken journaling to, if I ate something that upset my stomach and then I throw up, I feel better because the offending substance is out of my system. And same
Oh,
with
good.
words and feelings. If I write about my angst, I pour it out, I purge it out onto the page, and I instantly feel better. Writing is like my best friend. Journaling is like my best friend or therapist all day long, because I just pop open the laptop, I go right, and it's like I literally feel a release. So the question to all of you writers out there, if you're writing something difficult, what's your release? What's your reset button?
Good
And do
question.
that. And
Good
not something
question.
harmful, not take a shot of tequila. Or, that's fine if you want to take tequila. I don't care. But I'm just saying it doesn't have to be something self-destructive. It doesn't have to be something negative or something that's going to numb the feelings. That is counterproductive. The feelings are there for a reason. And so I don't advocate like drinking alcohol, smoking a joint, smoking a cigarette, doing something risky. No, you can just feel the feelings and process them and channel them into something else.
Excellent, excellent. I totally agree with all of that you said. And I love that reset button. I've done that for years. It's right here. Sometimes I literally just push my forehead and say, "Okay, reset, reset."
Really?
Oh my gosh. That night, Carol and I we'd do a little thing of turning our ear, meaning turn the channel. Back in the day when you had a TV that you actually had to get up out of your chair to go turn the channel on it. And so it's
Right.
like, turn the channel, switch to a different station, it's like, and we'd look
Oh,
at each other and both be doing this at different times. And we go, oh, we're turning the channel. Okay,
oh,
let's get
that
out of
is
that
so
subject and
fun.
topic. Let's move on to something else. Let's heal. Let's move on.
Wow. That is
Yeah.
awesome. I
Yep.
love
Yep.
it. That's
Yep.
brilliant.
Yep.
Um, Okay, what else? Like, Joni, can you talk about the value of writing about the most difficult things? Because those are the most transformative experiences for the readers.
Value. Well, I think there's a couple things with that. That's a great question. I love it because people watching right now or listening, I don't know these questions that Elizabeth's going to ask me beforehand. So that's why I have to spend some time thinking before she asks. She's such a great journalist and interviewer that way. Okay, the value. Well, there's the personal value, like we've talked about, just the release and getting it out of the system of your heart. I think the other value is, I think it's something that other people need to hear. I
Yes, for
think
sure.
that's the value of it. And you
Hmm.
never know when, where, and how that's gonna happen for
Hmm.
somebody. And but the value is your writing in that book will always be there. I think that's the other value. We've talked about this before, that a book lasts forever. The value
Yes.
is that my family and my friends will have a legacy when it's my time to head to heaven, hopefully, that they have something to look back and go, oh my gosh, I didn't know that about Aunt Joni, or that's pretty cool, or, I need to think about that, or whatever. But it's the value that your word in print is going to help somebody else. The other value I see in it, and I'm sort of taking this a little bit bigger and global. I look at people that have written pastoral letters or treaties or documents that have historically been eye-opening, and the change of slavery, or the laws that allow same-sex marriages. But there's so many writings along that global thing that we can share to help all the people in the world. It's not just a me thing, my family thing, or a neighborhood thing. It's bigger than that. And I think there's so much value in that.
Yes, absolutely. Very well said. Very well said.
Maybe you can
So,
add to that too, Elizabeth.
yes, yesterday my mother and I were talking about I have multiple ghostwriting projects right now, thankfully, and they're just amazing stories that people hired me to write for them. And so she and I were talking about the concept of memoir writing, and she said you have to include the good and the bad. You cannot just gloss over the bad parts because um, that's not being authentic. what
Mm-hmm,
what
mm-hmm.
formed a person to become who we are now is the good things, but also the bad things. And sometimes I personally know the roughest things are who made me so strong, are what made me so strong. Like in my book, The Mist Tribe, where you activate your goddess power, I talk about that moment during my divorce where I was so distraught and I was praying really hard and I heard, "You are goddess," instead of all the vile words that I had been called in my that were in my head. And I didn't know, but that awakened my goddess mission, which now is a 6-part book series, and my podcast and my meditation group and all the things I do. And it was one of the worst moments of my life, one of the worst periods, but it awakened this mission. And so I'm grateful because it also made me so strong in who I am today, and that's amazing. So it's all good. It's not fun, when you're going through it, but if life is all rainbows and butterflies, you don't evolve. And
Yep.
so, and so when I wrote about that scene, it was with hindsight. It was terrible. However, I wrote about it from a place of gratitude that I experienced that because it put me where I am today.
Yes. Yes. And I
Yeah.
guess that's why I say it's like, welcome the surprise. After you write, just welcome the surprise, which will happen within you and out of you, like that. And
Mhm.
I cannot wait to meet your mom. Oh my gosh, she sounds so awesome, and
Oh,
she's
she's
right.
a
You've got to
boss.
write about the good and the bad, you
Yes,
know.
yes, she keeps it
Yep.
real.
Got to have
Yeah.
that rain before the rainbows come. Yep.
Right, right, exactly, exactly. All right. Well, we would love to hear from you. Please drop us a comment about your challenge as a writer telling stories that are painful. Well, how do you push your reset button? Or do you not know yet? It's time to figure that out. But please drop us a comment. And if you have any questions that you'd like us to address about how to write, publish, and promote a book, we would love to hear from you and do a future episode on that topic just for you. Joni, do you have any final thoughts?
I just wish everybody healing for whatever's going on in your life, and healing for our world. And it's bigger than us.
Uh-huh.
Jesus has got us.
Wonderful.
Woohoo!
I love
Amen.
it. Big, 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 big high fives on that one, Joni.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Well,
yeah, yeah.
Thank you, all of you, for joining us. We go live every Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and noon Eastern Time to talk about everything you need to know to write, publish, and promote a great book. I do that as co-founder of Two Sisters Writing and Publishing, as a best-selling author, as a book coach, as an editor. And Joanie does that as a best-selling author. And now she has a radio show, and we are just rocking it. So we're all about helping you. So please watch and share this with anybody who is trying to write a book, because we want to make it easier for you to succeed. So in the meantime, we wish you happy reading and happy writing. See you next week.
Thanks, Elizabeth, for